This week, we are talking about painless HR digital transformation and not a strategic step one, step two, step three, because every organization is different. It has a different starting point. But maybe we can talk about the things to consider and some of the tools that you would want in your toolkit. So I had a sales call earlier today, and this group kept on asking, well, do you digitize your files, or are your files in the cloud? And I just knew that they were so relatively far behind in their understanding of how cloud systems work, that they're not alone. Okay, so let's talk about some of the reasons or important reasons why digital transformation is important. Um, One, I like to say that your employee experience is a customer experience. So we as customers nowadays are used to ordering food online, depositing checks to our bank account through an app. We're used to shopping for clothes online, and if we don't like them, we can send them back. We don't have to step into a store. We're used to hopping in our car and not having to print out a map or look through a map. We can just punch it in our phone and then drive to our destination. And so these are our lived experiences with digital transformation at home. And then we get to work, and it's like you got to fill out this physical paperwork. You've got to march this file down the office. Dare I even say you got to be in office to do your job. If it could be done elsewhere. So the first thing is thinking about the customer experience of your employees. Are there ways that processes could be streamlined? You could use tools that are available in the cloud as opposed to paper. A big one that we think about is electronic signature versus pen signature. So that's a big thing, is like thinking about the customer experience of your employees. The other one is definitely the business case for cloud support or digital transformation. I can think back to this sales call that I had, and I was explaining to them different tools that they could use, right? So this one for your recruiting, this one for your payroll, this one to hold your files. And there's a line where the more labor intensive a task is, the less of a return you're going to get from the people doing it, because they're just doing things that you could put software in place to do, and then not replace their job, but allow them to focus on more value add things or more strategic things, or developing more of a relationship with the people that they're working with. So I'll stop there. It's kind of like first quarter, second quarter, and we'll talk about two more other things. But do you have any thoughts or comments thus far on digital transformation?
I do. I wanted to share my, kind of my thought process around when I'm speaking with organizations about their current state and their future state. And again, educating them on the concept of digital transformation and helping them create that visual of what it really means, because not everybody's like truly savvy with that term. And the way that I explain it is that it's really truly more than just adding a few tools. It's adopting that digital tech in the place of the manual processes like you've described, and it's using that new tech essentially to improve your business. But more importantly, it's what I always say, it's a line in the sand. It's a decisive shift to create new or like even modify existing processes to optimize your business. And so here's the visual prompt. I want you to think about what was life like before the iPhone. You mentioned a couple of the things, printing out the map or maybe even using a Thomas guide. Oh boy, I think we just aged ourselves.
I used to love those things. Buy them in 7-Eleven. keep them in the car.
Right. But these, a lot of the things that our iPhone does today was a manual process. Think about, a daily planner. Think about a Rolodex. All of these different things that used to be part of a manual process are now simplified and are far more efficient in a digital form. So if you think about, your business now in like a pre-iPhone state, if you haven't adopted, digital processes, and the iPhone today as your future state, and that is really going to help accelerate small business growth. And when we're talking to small businesses about like, how do I even tackle this from the start, it's like, okay, well, let's look at all of the ideas that we have and rank them from like, what is the highest return on your investment to the lowest, and then looking at creating a 3-year plan. And that is different for every business, but you can't go into this without a plan, and focusing those efforts on the highest ROI will start to like build that momentum. And Joey, I think you see this just as often as I do. Once businesses start to implement some of these processes, it's like, well, I think that's really where, if you're a company that hasn't already started moving down this path, now is the time. Like, you cannot wait. You will get left behind, and your competitors will be leaps and bounds ahead of you.
Agreed. And we mentioned in a previous episode the fact that there has been a huge uptick in the investment of HR technology. And so what that tells me is more companies are attempting to solve the problems that keep you and I up at night, that keep non-HR pros up at night, that keep executives up at night. And so this is the time to look around and see where's the world moving, and gosh, what tools are our competitors using that could make our employees' life a little bit easier, and how can technology be used to make us more efficient and more effective? Because it's not even just about, we have to take into account the fact that there's just more data. There's just more data coming into our space. There are more decisions that we have to make. And so the more we can utilize technology to help make decision making easier and to help us digest information faster, better, and ethically, I think that we really do a disservice by not having a digital transformation.
Well, I know that you spend a lot of your time in the HR tech space. And one of the things that's most fascinating to me is seeing technology that is focused on automation and artificial intelligence. And I do think that, we're going to continue to see quite a bit happening in this space in terms of integration. Even at Jumpstart and some of our clients, I'm seeing how that is accelerating the business. When I think about that roadmap, that 3-year plan, I do think that there is a space within businesses of all size to really be focusing on that. And just kind of a random comment that I have to throw in this podcast episode, Joey, is I truly hope that you and I are the last of the HR workforce that ever has to touch a paper HR file.
Oh my gosh, those manila folders can just go somewhere. Yeah, yeah. And dare I even say, fingers crossed for USCIS, but digital I-9s. I hope that continues to be a thing, even after this new update of the I-9 that's supposed to roll out in October, November timeframe. It is just so much better to store things in the cloud than to accumulate paper and waste and potential document error and less communication from one document to another without digital transformation. So that's the importance of transformation. Were there any final thoughts that you wanted to share?
No, I think that this is just another area that I really encourage small businesses to not ignore, because when I think about what has what has created kind of the difference between competitors in the past and where it comes down to like service and product. My one of my favorite words, Joey, is leverage, and this is like the ultimate definition of using leverage in your business.